Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting with Leslie Watkins. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to attach the spreads to the rest of the accordion journal. This is very easy. I'm going to begin with another file folder. So here's a file folder that has not been cut yet. I'm going to use my trimmer and I'm going to remove these hooks. I'm just going to line this tab up with my track, holding that in place, and then run my blade. Now you may get a little bit on the end that sticks, and if that happens, just snip it off. I'm throwing these out. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other side as well. I find it easier if I put the folder into the trimmer with the hook on the left side, the way I'm doing here. Line it up. Give it a little bend, and if it sticks, just grab my snips and help that along. It's just the thickness of the metal that causes the metal of the hook that causes the blade not to go all the way through. Okay, so now once you have that, I'm going to go ahead and starting with the fold here, I'm going to put that in my trimmer so that it lines up with the 1-inch mark. And I'm going to cut that off so I have something that looks like this. Okay, so this is just a natural hinge that already has the fold in it. But the rest of this folder can be used as well. So for that, I'm going to again using the 1-inch measurement, and I'm using the one on the right side. This time I'm using the score blade. Make sure that's in there. And I'm using, oh I see, this is getting stuck over here. There we go. I'm using the score blade at the 1-inch mark. And then I'm going to cut that on the 2. So I can have a 1-inch hinge that measures 2 inches across. All right, and then you can go ahead and continue that process. So it might be quicker actually just to getting my cutting blade out of the way. But I'm just using my score blade, bringing that to the 2-inch point, cutting, scoring at 1, cutting at 2. I have a little bit of excess left over, and then I would do the same thing on the other piece, so that I would have a nice collection of these hinges ready to go. And you can just fold those on the score, and you'll decide if you want to use which side you want to have facing out depending on your color scheme. So let me show you what I've got in my journal. So here it is. And I just open it up, and because this is a work in progress, I'm using the first page or the first spread as a place to just store some things, so I have them handy. So over here, I'm just tucking my hinges into the pocket like that, but I'm going to be using one, so I'm going to grab one. And I'm going to go to my last page. So this is the last page that I have attached to my journal. This is the spread that I'm going to be adhering. I'm going to begin with the journal side, and in this case I want my hinges to be attached like that. Okay, and so to do that, I'm going to begin with my double stick tape. I want these hinges to be really strong because the journal, once it gets filled with the photos and the die cuts, the ephemera, all the paper layers, etc., starts to get kind of heavy. And I want this to be nice and sturdy. That's why I'm using the file folders. But when I reinforce the hinges, I want to make sure that they stay on really well. So I'm going to begin with my double stick tape. I'm going to use my bone folder to press that, make sure that that's on there really well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my liquid glue, and starting on one side, I'm just going to add that around the perimeter. Now the liquid glue is very strong, and the double stick tape is going to have the hinge adhere immediately to the book, so that there's not going to be a lot of wiggle room here. So you want to go slow, take your time, line this up, and get it exactly where you want it to be. And I'm starting on the book because it's going to be a lot easier for me to adhere the hinge to the heavier part while it's just a hinge, and then add my spread second. So I'm beginning by just removing that strip. And now what I want to do is take my folder. You want to make sure I have my fold going the right way, and I'm going to line that up. Right, I'm trying to do that. I want to do this so that you can see. Maybe if I do it this way, you'll be able to see a little bit better. All right, now the score I want to be just outside of the edge of the spread here. So I'm going to start on one corner, make sure that's exactly where I want it to be, give that a little bit of a press, and go to the other corner, do the same thing, and then gently just smooth that out so that that double stick tape has good adhesion. Now I can take my bone folder and give that a good burnish, and that's going to make sure that everything is adhered properly. I'm going to check the outside, make sure that there's no glue coming out, and that looks fine. There's my hinge. And now I'm ready to add my next spread. So again, I'm taking my liquid glue, okay, and I'm using my piercing tool to lift up the backing to release the double stick tape. Now that's all ready to go. Move this over. Now I want to make certain that I've got my spread right side up. Okay, and now again, I want to make sure that my fold here in the hinge where I scored it is not under the spreads that I'm attaching it to, because I want that fold to function independently. So lining up the corners, getting that nice and straight. You want to make sure it's nice and straight. Give that a little press. Burnish. You've got a good burnish this way. Okay, so there it is. There's my accordion binding. So if I open this up a little bit, okay, you can see this is where all my hinges are, holding these pages together nice and secure. All right, and so I can open up the book and lay it flat and see all the spreads at once, or I can open it up and look at it page by page. And by assembling your book in this way, you don't have one static binding area. Each place that the spreads attach becomes its own binding area, and so it lays flat, and it doesn't get that kind of alligator mouth that a lot of the bigger journals will get. So I hope that was helpful. I can't wait to see what you do. Please be sure to follow along in the private group Watercolor and Stamping Up Paper Crafting Projects Facebook group. Ask to be invited in, and you'll be able to follow along and share what you make so that we can all be inspired by one another. Also, if you'd like to stay informed as to what the meetups are coming up and where I'm going to be and what my watercolor and paper crafting classes are going to be, subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and you'll find all the listings there. So thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to see what you do, and I will see you in the next video.